What if I told you one of the world's most famous cheeses takes years to make, starts its journey in boiling vats stirred by hand, and is so valuable it's stored in bank vaults as collateral? This cheese isn't just food, it's tradition, science, history, and even economics. And yet, chances are you've grated it over pasta without ever realizing the centuries of passion behind it. I'm talking about Parmesan, or more accurately, Parmigiano-Reggiano, the king of cheeses. But here's where it gets even more interesting. That plastic tub of Parmesan sitting in your fridge, it might not be real. In fact, most of what the world calls Parmesan isn't even made in Italy. So what is real Parmesan? Why does the authentic version cost so much? And how has it survived virtually unchanged for nearly 1,000 years? Welcome, cheese and dairy enthusiasts. Whether you're all about Gouda, goat cheese, or a classic cheddar, we're here to share the love of all things dairy with you. We've got tons of cool stuff coming your way, so sit back, relax, and get ready for a fun, cheesy experience. If you're enjoying this creamy content, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, 99% of our viewers haven't hit that subscribe button yet. It's totally free and just takes a second. Now, this is a story about more than cheese. It's about why time, place, and people matter. It's about what happens when we slow down, preserve tradition, and resist shortcuts. And it's about how one product from a small region in Italy ended up becoming a global culinary icon and an economic powerhouse. If you've ever wondered what it really takes to make something worth waiting for, you're about to find out. Let's start at the very beginning. Where does Parmesan come from? Real Parmigiano-Reggiano can only be made in a specific part of northern Italy. 5 provinces, to be exact: Parma, Reggio Emilia, Modena, and parts of Bologna and Mantua. Now, that may sound like just another bureaucratic rule, but it's much more than that. The land itself, the cows, even the grass they eat, all contribute to the cheese's flavor. It's what food experts call terroir. Remove the land and you change the cheese. So why is this such a big deal? Unlike many modern foods, Parmigiano-Reggiano isn't made in massive factories with identical machines. It's made in small dairies, using milk from local farms, natural bacteria from the region, and methods that go back to the Middle Ages. Here's the kicker. Every wheel of Parmigiano-Reggiano starts with just 3 ingredients: milk, natural whey culture, and calf rennet. That's it. No preservatives, no artificial flavors, no shortcuts. And yet, from these humble ingredients, you get a cheese so complex it takes up to 3 years to reach perfection. That's the magic and mystery of Parmesan. But how do these 3 ingredients transform into 90-pound, 41-kilogram golden wheels? What happens inside those massive copper cauldrons? And why do cheesemakers still stir boiling whey with their bare arms? Every morning, before the sun rises over the Emilia-Romagna countryside, dairy workers begin one of the most meticulous routines in the world of food. It starts with the cows. And not just any cows. These animals are fed a carefully monitored diet of fresh grass and hay, with no fermented silage allowed. Why? Because even the smallest change in their diet can alter the microbes in their milk, which could ultimately affect the flavor and texture of the cheese. This isn't just cheese making, it's ecosystem management. The cows are milked twice daily. The evening milk is allowed to rest overnight in wide basins, letting the cream naturally rise to the surface. In the morning, that cream is skimmed off, and the partially skimmed milk is blended with fresh whole milk from the morning milking. The result? A rich but balanced mixture of raw, unpasteurized milk that will become cheese that's hard as a rock but explodes with flavor. Now imagine this. All that milk, about 1,200 liters, is poured into a giant copper vat shaped like a bell. That's enough milk to make just 2 wheels of Parmigiano-Reggiano, no more. Why only 2? Because even the size of the vat matters. The copper helps regulate temperature perfectly, and the small batch size ensures the cheesemaker can control every step. Any more, and they lose that delicate touch. And here comes one of the most important steps, one that no machine can replicate. they add a natural whey starter taken from the previous day's cheese. This isn't just tradition, it's microbiology in action. This whey is rich in thermophilic bacteria, unique to the region, that kick off the fermentation process. These bacteria are the soul of the cheese. And then calf rennet is added. Within minutes, the milk starts to coagulate. What was once liquid begins to turn into a soft, pudding-like gel. Now here's where it gets dramatic. The cheesemaker uses a giant whisk called a spinno to break that gel into tiny pieces no bigger than a grain of rice. And yes, sometimes they reach their bare arms right into the hot whey over 50 degrees Celsius to check the curd by feel. Why? Well, because after hundreds of years, no machine can match the human hand's ability to feel when the curds are just right. At this point, the temperature is raised again, cooking the curd gently, driving out more whey and forming a semi-solid mass that settles at the bottom of the vat. Slowly, silently, two massive cheese babies are being born. But this still isn't Parmesan, not yet. So what happens next? What turns this curd into a cheese so valuable that it's used as loan collateral in Italian banks? After the curd has settled into a dense, custard-coloured mass at the bottom of the vat, something magical, almost sacred happens. Two cheesemakers, working in unison, slide a linen cloth under the curd. Carefully, they lift the 100-kilogram mass out of the whey. It's heavy, steaming, and fragile, like hoisting a newborn. They cut it in half. Each half is wrapped tightly and placed into a round mold. Over the next few hours, that soft cheese will begin to take on the iconic wheel shape we all recognize. But what gives it its distinct identity isn't just the mold. It's the branding belt that's wrapped around it. This plastic stencil embosses the words Parmigiano-Reggiano in tiny dotted letters all along the rind, along with the dairy ID and the production date. It's like a cheese passport, a birth certificate baked into the surface. And if the cheese doesn't pass inspection later, that branding is scraped off. No mark, no Parmesan. But even now, it's still not ready for the aging room. First, it needs salt. The young wheels are lowered into a large tank of Mediterranean sea salt brine. No ordinary sprinkle, no injections, just pure immersion. They'll soak there for about 20 days, absorbing the salt gradually, which not only seasons the cheese, but helps form its natural rind. No wax, no plastic, just time, salt, and air. And then comes the real test of patience. The wheels are transferred to aging warehouses, silent, sacred places lined with thousands of golden wheels stacked floor to ceiling. They'll stay there, untouched by light, for a minimum of 12 months. Most are aged 24 to 36 months, and some for even longer. During aging, the cheese evolves. Proteins break down into these savory amino acids. Tyrosine crystals form, giving that unmistakable crunch. Fats oxidize slightly, releasing fruity and nutty aromas. Lactose is gone entirely, making the cheese naturally lactose-free. The result? A flavor explosion. Sharp, savory, brothy, with that melt-in-your-mouth crumble no other cheese can replicate. And what's most astonishing? Time becomes an ingredient. No shortcuts exist. You can't fake 24 months of slow transformation. No lab can recreate the way the flavor deepens, the aroma matures, the texture dries and crackles under your knife. Each week, the wheels are turned, brushed, and cared for sometimes by hand, sometimes by a robot. It's like tending to a library of edible time capsules. And at the 12-month mark, each wheel undergoes its ultimate test. An inspector from the Parmigiano-Reggiano consortium knocks on it with a small hammer, listening for the right echo. A sound too hollow, that wheel is rejected. But if it passes, it's branded with a mark of authenticity, the seal of tradition, quality, and time. But here's the thing. Most wheels aren't sold at 12 months. They're just getting started. So how does aging change not just the taste, but the value of Parmesan? And why are some wheels worth thousands of dollars and even used as currency in Italian banks? Well, let's put it this way. In Italy, there are literal cheese banks. That's not a metaphor. There are warehouses, secured, climate-controlled and guarded, where tens of thousands of wheels of Parmigiano are stored not just for aging, but as loan collateral. Yes, banks like Credito Emiliano accept wheels of cheese as a financial asset. Each wheel, depending on age and quality, can be worth $800 to $1,500 or more. Multiply that by thousands of wheels sitting on shelves, and you've got millions, if not hundreds of millions, in cheese-backed loans. Why would banks do this? Because Parmigiano-Reggiano, when made authentically and aged properly, doesn't just hold its value, it appreciates. Time literally increases its worth. For small dairy cooperatives, this is a way to fund operations without selling their product too soon. They borrow against the future, or their cheese. No wonder people call it edible gold. But there's another reason it needs protection. The global demand for Parmesan is huge. We're talking billions of dollars in annual turnover. But here's the problem. Most of the Parmesan consumed worldwide isn't the real thing. In many countries like the US, Argentina, and Brazil, the term Parmesan isn't protected. It's used for cheeses that imitate Parmigiano-Reggiano, often made with pasteurized milk, freeze-dried cultures, and accelerated aging. These cheeses might be convenient, some are even decent, but they're not crafted the same way. They're not aged for years. They're not born from a specific land with its cows, grasses, microbes, and centuries of tradition. And yet, they flood supermarkets, confusing consumers and undercutting the real thing. This has led the Parmigiano-Reggiano consortium to fight a global war against counterfeits, from launching trademark battles in courtrooms to embedding microchips in cheese rinds to track authenticity. Yes, microchips. Starting in 2024, select wheels of Parmigiano will carry food-safe digital tags inside the rind that can be scanned to prove they're the real deal. It's one of the world's most ancient foods, now protected by cutting-edge technology. Why go to all this trouble? Because the name matters. Just like champagne can't be made outside of France, or real Prosciutto di Parma must come from Parma, Parmigiano-Reggiano is a place, a process, a promise. A promise that you're not just buying cheese, you're tasting a story. It's the story of early morning milkings, of copper vats glowing with rising steam, of skilled hands plunging into scalding whey, and of wheels aging in silence, slowly transforming into something unforgettable. And when you understand that story, the cheese doesn't just taste better, it means more. So, the next time you hold a wedge of Parmigiano-Reggiano in your hand, you're holding history, science, economics, and culture, all compressed into one 80-pound, 35-kilogram wheel. But what ties it all together? What connects the farmer, the cow, the curd, the vault, and your dinner table? Parmigiano-Reggiano is made from just 3 ingredients: milk, whey, and rennet. But what transforms that into the king of cheeses is the 4th invisible ingredient: time. Time lets the native bacteria ferment. Time lets the salt brine draw out moisture and build the rind. Time lets enzymes work their magic, breaking proteins and fats into flavor bombs. And through all of that, it's human craftspeople who guide the process. From the farmer feeding hay to the cow, to the cheesemaker breaking curds by hand, to the affineur brushing and rotating 90-pound wheels like clockwork. It's a product of the land, of patience, of tradition. But here's the real twist. Parmigiano-Reggiano isn't just the result of old methods. It's the result of resisting the urge to modernize too much. The cheesemakers chose to keep things slow, local, handmade, even when faster, cheaper, more efficient paths were available. And that's what makes it special. Because in a world that moves faster every year, this cheese teaches us something profound. Sometimes, the best things are those that can't be rushed. Sometimes, what makes something valuable is exactly what makes it vulnerable. And sometimes, a 900-year-old recipe is better than any algorithm. Parmigiano-Reggiano is a time machine made of milk. When you taste it, you're tasting generations. You're tasting what happens when humans choose mastery over mass production. That's why it's not just a cheese. It's a legacy. It's why chefs treat it like gold. It's why banks treat it like currency. And it's why you, now knowing what goes into every wheel, might never look at Parmesan the same way again. So, the next time someone offers you Parmesan in a can, you'll know why the real stuff deserves its crown. Because in food, as in life, the real story is always hidden beneath the surface. If this video sparked your curiosity, join us and stretch that curiosity even further. The next deep dive might just surprise you even more. Your support helps us to keep exploring and uncovering the hidden side of what we eat. So don't be shy, hit that subscribe button and age like fine cheese. And in the meantime, leave a comment down below, share your thoughts with us, or an emoji for the sake of engagement. Thanks for watching.